What's up, everybody? 6 Borough Podcast here with a very special episode coming up for you guys. We have a very esteemed guest coming on. Not that all of our guests aren't awesome, but we have Mr. Larry Sharpe, who is running for governor of the state of New York as a libertarian. Larry was kind enough to come down and talk with us and give us some insight into why he's running, some of the changes he wants to make, and really just be a super entertaining and engaging person. And it was awesome. We couldn't have been happier with the type of person he is and how the podcast came out. So let's get into these sponsors and then right into the episode. Guys, we are brought to you first up by Municipal Land Survey, 631-345-2658. They are, you got it, a land survey company serving the great state of New York. They will hook you guys up with any kind of surveying that you need done, commercial, residential, you're building something new, you need to do something to your existing property. Give them a call. They will help you out. They are nothing but the utmost professional people around. You can reach them at 631-345-2658. Next, Mr. Eric Ott over at RCG Mortgage. You can give him a call or shoot him a text at 631-774-1783. Get in touch with him. Call him, text him, however you want to do it. Send a messenger pigeon. Just get in touch with him. He's a wizard with mortgages. He'll get you pre-approved. He will help you refinance, get a first-time mortgage, whatever you guys are looking to do, he will hook you up. Again, that's 631-774-1783. And then last but not least, the good gentleman over at AS Engineering Services. You can reach them at 631-560-0259 or on the web at www.asengineeringservices.com. They are a full-scale engineering and architectural firm. They will help you out with anything you guys are looking to do, commercial, residential. They handle it all. If you just want to look at some of the cool projects that they've done and are in the process of doing, hit them up on the website and you can take a look at that stuff. Again, that's 631-560-0259 or asengineeringservices.com. All right, guys, let's get into this episode with hopefully the future governor, Larry Sharpe. All right, we're live. Let's get into it.
6 Borough Podcast, D-Rock,
Yarbs,
Pots,
and our esteemed guest, Larry Sharpe.
I am here. I made it.
Yes, sir.
In the rain and everything. See how much I care about you guys? I
appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, I'll be honest. We've had people cancel for less before.
Oh, yeah.
So
I had to wake up like way early. You're an hour and a half from Astoria, Queens.
Yeah.
So
it's a ride.
yes. And Paul is so excited. He actually drove from Long Island to come help me and then back again.
Oof.
Paul, yes.
That's dedication, right?
That is dedication.
We know what the Paul
See?
here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely, yes.
So for those that don't know,
How dare you?
yeah, first of all, how dare you if you don't know? Second of all,
I am now mad at you. That's it. That's it.
Larry is running for governor.
That's
for
correct.
the state
Governor
of
New York. Trying to make some real change here. The problem we're having right now is if you even care, and most people don't, because between 60 and 70% of New Yorkers don't even bother voting anymore. That's how bad it is. And in a state as big as us, that means you're going to have about 7 million or 8 million New Yorkers who are not going to vote this year.
We were just
Horrible.
talking about that.
Yes.
Because
So if you actually care, you have a problem. The problem is the guy who's running on the left, who is our current king, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II. You may call him Your Grace if you're in front of him. Yeah. It's fine. But I usually call him His Majesty when I'm not in front of him. So his entire campaign is, I hate Trump. That's his whole campaign. It doesn't talk about anything else except that. And on the right, the guy who's running in the Republican Party, all he says is, I hate Cuomo.
I couldn't even tell you his name.
I don't mention
for
it.
The Republican.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not. They never bring any, like, the Republican Party in New York State never brings out any big guns, any kind of real personalities. They're always these very stiff, boring guys.
They know they're going to lose. They're sacrificing.
That's correct.
hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it
That's
is.
correct. Yes.
And here's the crazy thing. Like we were talking about before he got here, how like Cuomo's last election, he only had like 2.5 million votes.
Yeah, he had about 11 to 12% of the entire state population.
So like
And that's how he
Long
won.
Island could overthrow him, King
correct.
King Cuomo, if we
correct.
really wanted to.
Suffolk and
correct.
Nassau can. No, we don't want him anymore.
I have
yes.
I have one distinct question for you because
I'll come out and admit, over the last 5 to 8 years, I have made myself, to some degree, willfully ignorant of American politics.
That is, you're not uncommon.
So, I had never heard of you prior to Joe Rogan, and I really enjoyed what you had to say.
Good.
So this is big for me because I want to be, for lack of a better word, convinced again. But I want to know what drew you in. Do you have a career in politics prior at all? What drew you in?
You've just insulted me. I've been here 5 minutes and the insult starts. Like, oh my God!
Drove an hour and a half, and now
I'm out of here. So no, the reality of it is that's the most important pieces that I don't.
Right? I like that.
The people who are running right now literally are career politicians. Both of them have been in politics since 18 years old.
Right.
I'm not joking. Been in politics since 18 years old.
And Cuomo's like he's a family guy. It's
yes.
It's like a royal family, literally.
That's correct.
Like
Yes.
He named the Tappan Zee Bridge after his father now. It's the Mario Cuomo Bridge.
It is.
So
This is our Imperial Bridge.
I was loving on Rogan, and I've been using it ever since. I was like, I would rather have our bridges named after corporations than after our former governor's daddy.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
yes.
I named my bridge after my daddy. Like, this is
Yes.
ridiculous.
We're gonna name the gate entrance to the studio Larry Sharpe Way.
Oh, I like that. Now, to do it right, I'm gonna have to pay for it. Though. Let's be fair. I gotta write you a check like $100 a month or something, so I can get named that exactly. No, but that's the issue, right? To be forward with you, I'm actually running for a very selfish reason, and that is I don't want to move. New York State is in a death spiral, and not enough people see it. But if you really pay attention, you do see it. You see it in where you have over 100,000 New Yorkers leaving every single year, right? Last year, over 150,000 left. What does that mean? That means we have counties that are 1/3 of Medicaid, 1/3 of Medicare, and a dwindling population, and a tax base that just doesn't match with what we have to pay. The tax bills keep going up, so people keep leaving. And the reason why people keep leaving are two things. One, we have an oppressive government right now that's pushing a lot of taxation and fees and fines and rules, and you combine that with a lack of opportunity, and people leave.
Right.
That's an issue, and I don't want to leave. I was looking at going to North Carolina, and when I went to North Carolina, I got mad because it was amazing. And I was like, why is my state not like this? I'm mad.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that because last week, myself and the other host who's not here, we were traveling. We went to Louisiana and then to Las Vegas. I had never been to New Orleans or Louisiana, and I couldn't believe the things that were going on there.
Yep.
And both Eric and I said, yeah, it's because New York kind of sucks. There's no freedom. We're the least free state.
Correct.
The big problem with it, too, is not only are we being taxed out of control, nothing's improving.
Yes.
The roads are terrible.
Yes.
The public transportation is terrible.
Yep.
If I'm paying all this money, schools are always on austerity budgets. It's like, where does this money go?
And $22,000 per kid, and our school system is ranked 37th in the nation.
That's absurd.
And this, by the way, is His Majesty's crown jewel, right? It's actually what's that cheap thing? The cubic zirconium. It's actually that. It looks like a diamond, but it's a cubic zirconium. It totally is. And
New York
it
schools
is because it's so
be
bad.
Like reserved,
used to be the best.
Yeah, it used to be considered the best.
Yeah.
Like us, New Jersey, California were considered top-notch education systems.
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. And we're spending, and it's the best part is he's proud. We spend $22,000 per kid. Yeah, but if the amount of money we spend, every single one of our kids should leave high school and go right to NASA.
Yeah.
That's how we should just be pumping out rocket scientists every year in droves. That's how much money we spend. But we get nothing.
Here's another question that I have.
Did I answer this first one even?
No, absolutely.
Okay,
you know
good.
what? That's great. I enjoy stuff like that. I don't like career politicians, so I tune out to a lot of things.
There we go.
But
politicians were never meant to be a career thing.
Right.
It's supposed
That's
to be
correct.
a civic duty.
So
you're a servant.
Yeah.
In theory.
You've separated yourself from the pack in those terms. Now, the whole thing about elections all the time, this is where I think a lot of people tune out. And in fact, my girlfriend mentioned this before. What separates, the promises that I'm going to do this and that, and then you get into office, and a lot of people I think maybe come in with good intentions,
That's a great
and
question.
then you get railroaded.
Yep.
You're battling upstream against the political system already.
Sure.
So,
Let me give you three things to consider. Number one, I don't have a career to protect, right? And the other ones they all do. I also don't have people to pay back.
That's
so
big.
those two things they have, I don't.
Well,
Literally-
after I donate $20 to your campaign, you're gonna have to pay me back. So, when people find out
I'm here, right? I think you owe me some more. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's why we're naming the gate.
There we go. Good. Okay, now we'll be fair then. Exactly. Yes.
Quid pro quo.
Yes. Now we're good. But no, I mean, I've raised about $400,000. Excuse me, about $400,000, and my average donation is only about $80. So it's a different issue. It's really a grassroots.
So
piece.
he's a cheapskate.
He is cheapskate. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. He's 25%, but I still love him. Look. I'll tell you an interesting piece. I get some donations for $3, and I also have donations to people who've actually dropped over 5 figures. So I've had both, and I feel emotionally the $3 one more, because the guy who gives me $3, that's a guy who thought about how much he has to give, and that guy or gal is going to be walking down the street and say, "I can't have a Starbucks today because I gave Larry Sharpe $3." And I know that because I've been there in my life, right? I was born a poor kid. I was raised a poor kid. And so I know what it's like to walk by a store and go, "I can't go in." I know how that feels. And so I know that guy who gave me $3 is like, "I'm not getting a coffee today." So while I want the 5 figures, of course I do. Everybody wants the 5-figure donation. But emotionally, I feel the $3 donation actually more. So your $20 is fine, my friend. Yeah. You won't be able to buy a cool plaid shirt now. Yes.
He's slanging right now.
Because I care about you.
I just want to tell you how much that
roasting me is probably the fastest way to get votes among all of us.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
There we go. Good.
You don't know what that means to us. That insult right there feels the same way as your $3 donation because it's keeping up with the tradition that we have with giving Potts the business.
Yes. So that's an important piece to remember. There's more than that, and that is they can't get me because of that. Like there's nothing they can put over me, right? Not just that, I'm not a career politician, which means if they throw me out in 4 years, I just go back to work. So it's fine. I go back to work. There's nothing else there. These guys lose. They're finished. They can't afford to lose. So but there's another piece. I don't have massive party infrastructure. I don't have that, which means I have to still keep you. Otherwise, I can't win. When I talk often, I speak about the idea, I'm a former Marine. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem being first in. I don't have a problem breaking a hole in the front line. But if you guys don't follow me through that hole, I lose.
Yeah.
I need you to follow me through the hole. Why? When I get there, you're right. I'm going to have a Senate and Assembly that are going to want to be against me. Of course, I have a press that's going to be attacking me all day long. I get that. Now, the funny thing is I'm actually going to run the Senate in about 90 days. People say, how? Because if you understand politics, the Senate is about 50-50, give or take.
Yeah.
When I win, you're going to see people go, "Oh, Larry, I always loved you. My man." You're going to say that all of a sudden. That's going to happen. And if I just get 6 or 7 people who are liberally-leaning to all of a sudden become libertarians, I'll have the swing vote.
Yeah.
So I will actually run the Senate. But I won't run the Assembly. The Assembly will be harder to get. So what do I have to do? I need you guys to be calling them, telling them, "Hey, we voted for Larry Sharpe. We care. Change things. Make things happen." Literally, I've already said this. I'm going to sell one of His Majesty's helicopters, and I'm going to deck out a bus that I can run the actual government out of the bus so I can drive around the state and keep campaigning.
Which
because
is great.
If I don't, I won't be able to get – if you guys forget about me, I can't do anything. I will be completely tied. Right. I need to keep the momentum going. Otherwise, I can't get anything done. I don't have party bosses. I don't have local community guys that are out there, shaking the trees and getting people to vote. I don't have that. I need you guys to still be here with me. Yeah. So I don't have a choice, which is why. So I will fail if I do that. So I have a vested interest in not ignoring you.
That's great because most politicians, you only hear from them every 4 years or every 6 years, or however long until they're getting reelected. Otherwise, they get elected and they're like, see you guys later.
Well, they have infrastructure.
Yeah.
Well, why we don't hear from them is because we're not running some $1 million charity for them to come down and do a photo op, because we're just normal Joes. We're not going to run into Cuomo at the local bar.
Well, let me bring that up, too. If you see my campaign, right, there are several things you see me doing. Number one, every time I do an event, it's always at a local place. I do it at a diner. I do it at Roast. I do it someplace local. Because I can promote them and I can promote small business. Because I know that if you want a resilient economy, it's based upon small business, not about big business, right? You got a lot of small businesses. So I practice what I preach. I taught the talk. I walk the walk. That's what I do. I'm out in these places all the time. That's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm showing you that I'm doing this. But not just that. I'm going to small towns. I'm going everywhere. As of this Thursday, I believe, I will have been in every single county in New York State. There are 62. Wow. I will been to every one of them.
I wonder if Cuomo's ever been to all the counties.
I guarantee. If you're not a rich county in upstate New York, why would
he's
he
flown
bother?
over them?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you also see I take on a lot of things that aren't lucrative. Like I'm taking on trying to fix family court. Right? You hear me talk about it all the time. Fixing family court. Family court system is a disaster. Why does no one take it on? There's no money in it. The people who have been hammered by family court, they have no money. Their money either goes to the family or lawyers. That's where their money is. Going to kids or it's going to lawyers. They're getting hammered. They can't give me big checks. So why would I take it? And here's the worst part. I haven't been through the system. I'm not divorced here. It never happened to me. So I don't even have a horse in this race.
Right.
But I'm still doing it anyway. Why? Because it's the right thing.
Right. It's broken. There's so much broken. And
it's completely broken, of course.
And what you said is key. There's no money to be made in it. That's
correct.
Unfortunately, government has become a business.
Yes. And they make money on that. I mean, this is literally money making. Judges in the family court system are actually graded by how much money they bring in.
Yeah.
They're actually graded by how much money that they have in actual in child support, because the government.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because the government makes a cut of it. If you notice, all child support goes to the state, so the government takes a cut of it. Takes a cut of all child support.
The casino taking a cut.
Yeah.
The house
the
taking
house.
a cut.
Yeah, the house always wins.
So not only.
So, really quick, just don't you find it hilarious how many people on the left hate monopolies when they see it in the private industry?
Yep.
And yet, when you point
Love
out the
government
fact
monopolies.
when you point out the fact that the government is the largest monopoly,
Yes.
they're like, well, it's a monopoly we can vote about. I'm like, yeah, you can vote with your dollars.
Can you really vote about it though?
Yeah. Well, to a
in
degree.
theory, you could until they gerrymander your district. Then no, you can't. So yes. Yeah.
So
I agree. Monopoly is bad, period. And
Yeah.
what people don't realize is they assume all the time, well, Larry Sharpe, you're libertarian, so you're for big business. Not one of my policies ever has supported big business.
Yeah,
I've done is about small business.
I've always thought monopolies. I've always made the argument that monopolies are more a byproduct of government interference in the market.
Almost always.
Yeah, they make regulations that make it hard for the small guy to get into the industry.
They can't fight fair.
They create licenses.
Yep.
So now you want to start up, like hairdressing license. Like you think of like there's dog walking licenses in the city. There's all kinds of ridiculous licenses that you need to have now to start a business.
It's revenue. It's just a way for them to generate revenue.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it went as far as judges in the court system, that they're generating revenue through that as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, if you got to raise money, one of the best ways you do it is by using law enforcement.
Right.
Right, which is what I'm trying to avoid. If you hear me all the time, I say I don't want people using law enforcement as a profit center. There's not one cop. Look, my father was in law enforcement. My father was a corrections officer at Rikers Island. There's not one guy, cadet in the academy, ever going, man, I can't wait till I can become a revenue source.
Yeah.
None. No guy or gal thinks, I'm going to join the police force so I can write tickets. No one's thinking that. They're joining law enforcement because they want to do the right thing. That's their goal. They want to go out and get bad guys. I get that. So why are we putting them in a situation to where they have to spend most of their time generating revenue?
Yeah,
It's
crazy. Quotas for tickets and things like that.
They don't actually have quotas.
They don't have quotas, but
They don't.
you notice the guys who give out the most tickets drive the nicest vehicles.
There we go. Yes, they don't
So
actually have quotas.
it's small benefits that you don't notice.
And it's just how does your captain look at you when you don't bring enough in?
Quota is a wrong term.
Commission.
They are. I know.
They are judged
cops
by
and,
it.
They are. If you're
They are
not,
judged.
if you're not in the top tier of writing tickets, it's looked down upon.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that's why we all know the end of the month is the most dangerous time to be on the
Exactly.
road.
That's exactly what I mean. Not necessarily like, oh, you have to write this amount of tickets.
Right.
It's, you need to be, and maybe it's unspoken or whatever, but I know enough cops that are, all right, it's the end of the month, my ticket number is a little low. I don't need to have, my sergeant or my lieutenant breathing down my neck because I dropped off on tickets this month.
I think that's very reflective of what also how you talked about education with the testing. We need some kind of metric to measure if you're actually being productive. So the police use that as an unofficial, and it's like, well, why can't we just be like, instead of this guy writing tickets, if he's having some slow time, let's send him down to the local high school and talk to kids.
100%.
I would love that. Yes. Yes.
I know there's cops who obviously do
look,
that. I had those cops in my high school growing up.
In our world, if you see it now, the future is going to be somehow we're going to be grading them. There's going to be a Yelp.
Yeah, we need a
right,
metric
for our government. That's going to happen eventually, right? That's going to happen because we don't have anything. Right now we're judging cops by things like number of arrests. How is that valid? But we're judging them because we don't have anything else.
Yeah.
But there are many ways to judge police officers and how good they're doing, right? Could be the reduction of crime, right?
Yeah. Community interaction.
Could be community interaction. There's so many ways you could judge the police force. There's so many ways you can judge all different types of government. But we're not doing it right now. And it's because we're falling into our old ways. when you have the monopoly of government, when you have a two-party system that is all about evil and bad, and that's all it's about. What do I mean by that? Have you seen commercials recently? Commercials now are basically, this is an actual commercial I saw Upstate. It basically said this. I'm going to paraphrase. This guy, John Smith, is evil. He's a bad guy. He hurts people. He hates you. He hates America. He hates everybody. What an evil person.
And then the other guy's petting a
No,
dog.
no. Worse. I would take that. This is worse. That ended.
There's no other guy petting a dog.
There wasn't even a here's what you do or here's the answer.
No.
It was just
It's
it was a hit piece on one guy, and that's all it was. It wasn't even paid for by guys who love this other guy, right? It was like paid for by people who hate this guy. I mean, that's all it was. And the goal. My point here being is there wasn't even any hope or any idea that someone could do something good. It was just, I have to protect you from the bad guy.
Yeah. It's just accepting, I'm the lesser evil. Vote for
exactly,
me.
Yes.
That's what politics has become. It's I'm just the lesser of two evils.
Yes. I know I killed the guy, but he killed 3.
Yeah.
So you got to vote for me.
Speaking of that, and this I feel like is this might be a little presumptuous of me, but I feel like it's almost representative of the apathy that is around politics and voting. So you see that, and people are aware of that, and it almost feels like a zero-sum game. Like it's not important.
That's the goal.
It doesn't matter. I could like you and want to vote for you, but it's like, well, is anything going to get done?
Yep.
So what's what is like, what's the light at the end of the tunnel, or what's the fight we should be anticipating? Because personally, I would love to see somebody like you get in and get elected, and then the next piece is
here comes the butt.
How do we keep the hope alive? What's the expectation, and what are we looking at in terms of a time frame to accomplish real change?
No, I'm agreeing completely. The funny thing is we don't realize how fast change can happen, and Trump should have taught us this, right? The problem is 2016 taught very few people anything, and it really should have. 2016 was the culmination of anti-establishment, period, right? The Bernie and Trump taught us everything we need to know, and 2 things they taught us. Number 1. Use social media. That's the future. And people still don't use it, right? In this campaign right now, I'm the only guy using social media. I'm the only guy doing podcasts. I'm the only guy doing stuff like this. No one else is. They're in their own worlds. His Majesty is above all those things.
Well,
he's not going to hang out with the peasants.
He's running commercials to 60-year-olds on MSNBC and CNN.
That's correct.
It's like unbelievable. Like my parents, they still watch traditional news. I'll go over there and you watch the commercials.
Oh, they're terrible.
There's not a commercial directed at someone my age because they know it's
they
not
don't
the
work.
audience.
Yeah.
And I always think to myself, when my parents are watching stuff, don't you realize this is all just pandering to your point of view? All of this is just. They're aiming at your demographic, and they're just selling you whatever retirees in their mid to late 60s want to hear.
Yes, that's exactly correct. That's what they're doing, 100%. And they're hoping that those are the people who come out because traditionally they did.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen in 2016. In 2016, more people joined who had not joined before. The younger demographic came out. If the Democratic Party itself, the internal system, wasn't so corrupt and broken, Bernie would have been their nominee. What Bernie did is Bernie gave the left hope, and Trump gave the right hope. That's what happened. Now, if Bernie had been the nominee, who knows if he would have won or not. But what actually happened is because the Democratic structure was so broken, they got establishment versus hope, and hope won. Yep. That's how that's been working. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right, in Queens, who will soon be my congressperson. Literally, she's in my district.
Whoa,
so yes,
let's not jump to conclusions.
Yeah, she's going to be. Anyway, my point
who's
being,
running against her? They're not putting up a good fight?
You do know we're gerrymandered, right?
Yeah,
so
I
whoever
know.
wins the primary wins. So anyway, I mean, she won, right? And she was an outsider, right? Same idea. I'm the outsider. To think that I can't win or that I won't win is silly, of course. Jesse Ventura won in in Minnesota, and at this time he was polling at about 9%. I'm polling at about 13%. There's a huge difference, right? The polls that have come out before that made me
what do polls
lower.
mean? Who's answering these polls? I always love polls. It's like, what percentage of the population did you poll? When Ron Paul was running.
What's your demographic too?
Yeah, you can check it. Yes.
When Ron Paul was running, they'd show him polling at nothing, and then all of a sudden, every time there was the first few caucuses and stuff, he was taking first and second place.
Yes.
While the media is telling you that he's polling at 12% with the American populace, and you're like, but somehow the guy just won took first and second in the first 2 states in the primaries.
I agree with you completely, and that's my issue. People are saying, "Well, Larry, you're going to get less than 10%. You're going to get killed." And I'm saying, how do you know that? Because they polled people who have landlines?
Yeah.
I'm not joking. The last poll that came out was literally a poll of people who had landlines. Yes, you're laughing because most people don't have landlines.
Yeah. I don't.
You know that. Most don't.
I had to fill out an application the other day.
For a home phone number?
They asked me for a home phone number, and it was an online application for a course I was subscribed to, and it wouldn't let me advance
until you put
the page
in,
until I put something down for a home phone number. And
yes.
I was like, this is, and it was an IT course. And I'm like,
Yes.
this is incredibly ironic that you,
Yes.
this is a technological course, and you're forcing me. I'm like, I don't have one.
Yes.
So I had to put my cell phone as the same thing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
couldn't believe it.
But
It's insane, but that's my point. My point is that people think, well, you can't win. They don't know who's going to show up. Everyone said Trump couldn't win. Everyone thought Obama could win in 2008. They thought Hillary was going to beat him in 2008.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone believed that. But here's the issue. If you look what I'm doing, I'm using grassroots. Have you seen people make their own signs for me? Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen them, but
When you have a moment, you can go on my Facebook page if you want. By the way, Larry Sharpe for New York Facebook page. So if you want to go to that Facebook page,
I tagged you over social media today.
thank you, I
saying that you're
appreciate
gonna
it.
be on.
You can go into your photos, and people are making their own signs. They're painting their cars. This is what's called grassroots, right? This is what's happening here. No one's doing that for Cuomo, His Majesty. No one's doing that. They're voting for him because either they don't know any better or they're afraid of Trump. That's it. That's what they're
and they
voting
know
for.
the name.
And they know the name.
They're voting for the party.
Yes,
it's the
correct.
team.
I mean,
It's the team mentality.
They have the red or
yeah,
blue jersey on.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm just glad that Cuomo can protect us from the evil Trump.
Yes, I know. My God, that's my biggest worry. Yeah, my biggest worry isn't my kids getting good education and me having opportunity or having lower tax to be able to survive and actually have a decent lifestyle. That doesn't matter. What I care about is Trump.
No,
that's it.
Trump's a big meanie though, so we need a
He
tough New Yorker.
He is mean, so let's stop
like
him.
Cuomo.
I guess.
All the commercials, all his campaign commercials are the only guy who can stand up to Trump.
Well, that's because he's gearing up for running 2020.
That's correct.
That's
Yes.
it. So this is all just
No, but wait,
nonsense
he
for him
said
to
he
gear.
wasn't running in 2020.
Oh yeah, they always
Wait
say
a
they're
minute.
not running.
Wait,
Hillary's gonna run again too. So
It'll be Hillary, Bernie, and Cuomo all together running. All right.
We've seen this movie before.
Yes, we have.
And
Yes.
that-
It
I
wasn't
think
good the
that's-
first time I saw it.
Don't make a sequel, please.
Exactly, please. Yes,
But-
we don't need it.
Well, I think that's partially why people like myself kind of started to tune out.
Yes, agreed. You're totally right. Completely totally right.
And
Yes.
to the polling point, they're not polling our generation.
At all.
We're the 40 and under demographic. Millennials, as they have branded us, the 15-year generation we fall into, outnumbers baby boomers. We actually have the political power if we actually went to the polls.
Yep.
And yet the baby boomers are the ones that who are constantly targeted because they're getting to that age where they're constantly going out and voting because
Yes.
they're on fixed incomes. So it becomes to this point, like if young people actually wanted to change this state, change this country, they could actually do it with the numbers.
Well, it's
alone.
ironic, and it's like what you had just mentioned, Larry, is that our generation is the internet generation. We are the
Yep.
social media generation.
Absolutely.
And you can actually see that power has grown
Yes.
intensely. But I just feel as though it's that power and focus is almost directed in the wrong areas. So it's not doing what it could be doing. It's failing to live up to its potential.
It's not completely tapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I'd
Well,
agree.
I think it is tapped, but I just think it's
no,
it's
not
pointed
completely
towards
tapped. I'm saying we're losing some of the potential of what
Yeah.
it can be.
because I think
So-
it's pointed in the wrong directions. I think you see a lot of more social justice stuff than
Tons
actual
of that.
More
Tons
of
of that.
which doesn't affect any real change, in my opinion.
fake outrage.
Yeah, if it was pointed in the proper directions and channels, I think we'd actually have a lot more impact. And then maybe these other politicians would start to take note of that and put their effort into
Well,
targeting.
no, you
but
hear
they're
it.
louder.
Look, one of the people who's most popular on the left is Bill Maher, right? And Bill Maher talks about this almost every other week. He's like, we're winning the feel good, but we're losing the election. That's how he feels with his team, right? He's a clear Democrat. That's what he believes, and that's what he sees his team as. And he says, my team is winning the feel good, but losing the actual elections. That's what he talks about. And the concept, I think, is with millennials, too. Many millennials are winning the I feel outraged. But
Moral
they're-
victories, not
moral
real
victories, but not real victories.
Right.
Yes, and if millennials would actually try to get more real victories, I think you'd have a different country. I
Rather than
agree.
taking false moral high ground and feeling like you're standing up for the person, go enact real change
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
actually have a victory that you
Here,
can
you
be
want to
proud
help
of.
people of color? Hire them.
Yes.
Stop stop
Yeah,
it's
stop
that
feigning
simple. It's
outrage
that simple.
Yes.
start a business and hire people of color if you
There we
want.
go.
If you want to help people of color, like
Absolutely.
it's so simple, and
Yes.
like yet they want to go out and they want to make the government change everything for them. It's like, no, you are like, what was it? That nice little Indian gentleman, Mahatma Gandhi, once said, "You be the change you want to see in the world." You know,
now
like,
you're listening to him.
yeah, oh man, what an asshole! No.
That guy.
There's social justice where it goes. There's social justice where it goes. No, you change. It's like, no, I'm trying to. Yeah, I am
Yes.
trying to change and be a better person. Maybe you should do a little self-reflection too.
This
on
guy's
it.
quoting Gandhi. What are you going to quote Dr. King next?
Well, no, then
on.
they'll tell me I'm appropriating culture if I start talking about like, if I start quoting
How dare
very
you.
intelligent people.
Yes.
You know, like the people like that inspired me growing up as a child, and then I quote them today, and I'm told I'm a jerk. I'm like, they're
Well,
like,
you're a jerk for a lot of other
well,
reasons.
no, like, but it's you. We'll leave that alone. But here's a good issue that. So I wanted yesterday or the day before. I want to hear like a libertarian position on this. Facebook purged about 800 fake news sites, as they refer to them. Free Thought Project. A few of them were very popular Facebook pages. So, what would be the libertarian position on this?
Yeah, look,
they're a private company.
Let me tell you a couple of things. What disappoints me most is that Facebook has been doing this 2 or 3 months prior to an election. You know, and the problem with that is guys like me who need the niche, we don't have mainstream media. We only have niche media. When Facebook does this at this time, it, again, only hurts the little guy. You couldn't have waited until after the election. You couldn't have waited until a year before or 6 months or 9 months before so that someone who's relying on this can recover. What if you were relying on this group of people for your voter base? What if you were relying on this group of people to move your agenda? It's gone overnight. You've just lost it. You can't repair in time. You're done for the election season. This part bothers me. But to be forward with you, yes, they are a private company, and they have every right. And as they have every right to do it, I have every right to say it's wrong.
Okay.
Right?
Definitely.
I have every right to say this is wrong. But the next part is, why aren't we finding something else?
Oh, great.
Facebook is destroying itself because it's allowing the government to bully it.
Yeah.
Right? The government is saying, and worse, we're doing it too. Did you happen to see, I think it was John Oliver. John Oliver did a piece on his show about Facebook. And he was saying how there's all these bad people on Facebook. And then he blamed Facebook.
Oh, it's Facebook.
He literally named bad people on Facebook, then he blamed Facebook. He didn't blame the bad people.
It's the internet version of blaming the gun.
Yes. I mean,
Exactly right.
he literally said, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. And he ended it with, like, F Facebook.
Like Facebook should have not allowed them.
Yeah.
That it should be.
Yes.
And
So what? But here's the worst part. Facebook is bad. So now, let's say tomorrow we get rid of Facebook. Please don't get rid of Facebook tomorrow. Please don't do it. But as sake of argument,
my entire
campaign is based on Facebook. Please don't get rid of Facebook. But theoretically, we get rid of Facebook tomorrow. Do the bad guys go away?
No.
No.
They find another platform.
But we feel righteous.
They'll
This goes
just-
right to your point.
they'll go to
I
4chan.
feel righteous because I beat up Facebook. I feel righteous. But instead of this goes back to all the things. If you want to stop bad behavior, you don't hit it with a stick. You shine a light on it. That's how you get rid of. Yes, that's how you get rid of bad behavior. You get rid of bad behavior by shining a light on it, by being transparent, right? And the thing I'll go back to your MLK thing, right? Everyone says the 60s civil rights movement was an amazing movement. It was awesome. It was, but there have been people who had been doing civil rights for decades before that, just as dedicated, just as powerful. What changed? TV. That's what changed in the 60s. People actually saw it. It shined a light on it.
Marshall McLuhan on us right now.
Am I?
The medium is the message.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I mean, but TV is what changed
it.
right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that the activists were better or stronger or more dedicated. There were dedicated activists in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. But there was no TV. Now it's TV, you shine a light on it. Things change. It just takes time, right? I don't just see it once and it changes. It takes some time. But while you trying to fight people, it doesn't work. The best example I can give you is a guy named Daryl Davis. You may know the guy. He's a guy who he's a brother who actually is able to get people who are in the Klan to leave the Klan. How? By talking to them.
I saw
being
that.
friends.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yes, that guy's awesome.
Yes. Can you imagine if we had 100,000 of him in this country? It would change the country in 5 years.
Yeah.
We'd have a different country. But we don't do that because we don't want to talk. We want to point our finger and blame and put a division. The biggest reason why there is a division between left and right is not ideology. If you look at it, think about it. Think about a Carter Democrat versus a Clinton Democrat versus an Obama Democrat. Different Democrats.
Yeah.
Think about a Reagan Republican versus a Bush Republican versus an Obama. Versus a Trump Republican.
Very different
Republicans. Yes, the analogy has shifted, but what hasn't? The issue is one word only: respect. If you just respect the other person, they can hear you. If you respect the other person, you can hear them.
But what they're doing
if you can talk, you can actually change opinions and make things work. That's the issue.
It's the assumption that the other person has something malicious behind
Correct.
their intent, and that's what drives me insane. Like, I don't think people I disagree with. Like, I was talking to somebody recently, and I said, once you start looking at the world from the point of view that everybody thinks they're the hero of their own story, they think they're the good guy.
Yes.
It's so much easier to understand people.
Yes.
And I was like, they're not cruel and mean. Most people aren't. There are definitely cruel people.
Of course
in the
there
world,
are,
but
yes.
most people are well-intentioned, and
Yep.
the road to perdition was paved with what? Good
Absolutely.
intentions.
Good
So
intentions,
like,
yep.
it's just people. I think people have bad ideas, and that's why I'm always down to debate ideas. But other people wanted like I have a cousin who won't talk to
Hold
me
on.
because he thinks I'm a Nazi now.
Because you just said the wrong word. You said debate ideas. I don't want to debate ideas. I want to discuss ideas.
I was
Okay.
going to say the same thing. It's
Yes.
discussions.
Yes.
Once you get into debate, you're trying to prove your point.
Bingo.
And
It's
a
change
competition
somebody-
at that
Yes,
point.
it is.
You're talking over people, and then that's why you get the idea of, oh, you're wrong, I'm right.
Yep.
The competition aspect's the really fun part, though.
Well, that's why we go.
It is the fun part. I would agree. That's the fun part.
So we'll
It's just- it's
we'll
just not
discuss,
effective.
and then we'll roll on the mat afterwards.
True.
There we go.
Do some jujitsu.
I love it. Exactly right. Yeah, so discussion is the key. If you respect your opponent, you can have a conversation because then they're not an opponent anymore. Right? They're no longer an opponent. They're now someone to, look, Lincoln said it, right? If I turn my enemy into my friend, haven't I destroyed my enemy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still do it.
How much more productive do you think something like this would be in the political arena? Because I think that, and Rogan speaks about this a lot, how long-form conversations are really the way to go because you can really dig in and explore
and
ideas.
this is you see it all the time, and I deal with this consistently. People are like, Larry, you got to have a fast, soundbite message. I'm like, no, I have turned so many people by just talking. One time I spoke in one event for 4 hours straight, and people sat in the room for 4 hours. Most of my events are an hour or an hour and a half. I will talk for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I literally have people, guys like Paul, who will actually literally step up and go, Larry, we're done. Stop. Stop me talking. They will have to actually stop me from doing this.
Even still, do you think it would be even more valuable to have you, His Majesty, and all these people, rather than
Sit down and do a podcast.
sit down and do a
Oh
podcast
my
where you
God,
actually
yes.
talk?
But they wouldn't do it. They can't. They don't have ideas.
Right.
Right. You to have
Yeah, they
this
have
is the
sound
problem.
clips.
but that would
Correct.
get people that would get people
Sound bites.
involved.
No, because it would never happen.
No, I'm talking theoretically.
Yes, theoretically,
I
yes.
want a lot of
Yes.
people would actually sit there. Think about how many people listen to podcasts. If
Yes.
I heard that the people running for governor in my state did a 3-hour podcast where they all sat down and talked, I would make time.
I might
That's
vote
already
for one of those
happening.
3 people.
Yeah, it's already happened. The Joe Rogan interview has over 700,000
Yeah. I
views
just
or something like that.
Like
I mean, it's
650.
insane.
We're gonna have like
views.
3 million. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
welcome.
This one will be like 3 million. No, but
Joe
now I'll
Rogan,
be-
I don't even know who that is.
I'll be okay with this $20 donation now because that'll make up for it. We'll be fine. We'll be good now. Yes. But no, I think your point's a valid one. Here's the issue. Remember something, and this is particularly for New York State. The Democrats have run this state for about 16 years. If they were going to fix it, they would have fixed it. The Republicans have watched the Democrats run this state for 16 years. If they were going to have a plan, they would have had one. So the Republicans have no plan, have no movement. Democrats have been in charge for 16 years. What are we doing? They can't have a podcast. They'd have nothing to say. They don't have any ideas or concepts. It's just the other guy's bad. If you watch them debate, it's just mudslinging. It's all they know.
They can talk
can't do
about
it.
how bad things have gotten
That's
and
correct.
how bad their opponent is.
And then blame someone else for not fixing it. That's all they do. This is the issue. When you ask me questions, I actually answer them. I actually tell you what I
shocking for a
think.
politician.
They don't. I actually had a 50-year-old kid. He interviewed me in Albany. And he said, this was the best interview I ever had. I said, why? He says, usually I have to frame my questions in a way so that politicians will answer them. Or they won't even answer them. You just answered. I said, yeah. He goes, and they always pander to me. They go, it's an honor to talk to you. I said, you're 15. You're lucky I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that's what you said. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to pander. I never pander ever.
Yeah.
Which is, it's amazing that people have said, Larry, I'm going to vote for you because you showed up. or Larry, I'm going to vote for you because you answered my question, even if they disagree. Because I always answer the question, and I don't always tell them what they want to hear. I tell them what I think is true. Now, have I been wrong? Of course, and I'll be wrong again. Well, have I changed my mind? Of course, because someone showed me some evidence to show me that I was wrong. And I went, oh, I'm wrong. Can we change that? Let's
Why
do
do you
that.
think that's such a bad thing in the political
was-
arena about being able to change your mind? I don't
was just gonna
understand
say that so many political they're a flip-flopper.
Yep.
I don't want somebody that's stuck in their ways and not going to change because, you had an idea 25 years ago?
Yes.
And nothing's changed. No new information's come out.
Yes.
And, can't vote for them. They flip-flopped. Yeah, I want them to be able to change their mind.
It's definitely a little bit of both. You don't want somebody who's changing with. I think the argument of the flip flopper is that we're selling somebody who wherever the money's pulling them is.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
you can't say that in an ad, so you imply that wherever the money pulls them, that's where they go.
Yes.
So I think where someone sees like Ron Paul was always sold on his consistency is because he's clearly ideologically pure because he's not. It's not this year he voted this way and next year he voted a different way. He believes what he believes and he's going to go to bat that way every single time.
Cool, Pops, but we asked Larry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was enjoying him talking.
Thank you,
I just
Larry.
had to give him a little
Well,
bit.
no, I got to be good. He told me he's going to give me money, so now I have to be good to him.
He's giving me more
I gotta
airtime.
give
We
you
just
airtime.
got corrupted.
No,
Exactly. We just got corrupted. This is all your fault. You corrupted me.
I think I'm going to make a $40 donation.
Oh, no. Now I got to shut up. All right.
It just turned into the John Potts podcast. How you guys doing?
You got to come to his birthday party and stuff now.
I got it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. Now it's bad. I got to call you on Saturdays. How you doing?
Yeah, can you call me like right before bed on Saturday? Hey, how you doing? Doing good, Larry. Thanks for calling.
Exactly. God, I sold out for $40. I'm so cheap. I'm so cheap. God, it's
But
terrible.
while we were just talking about that, I thought of a hashtag for you. So, DTF is something very inappropriate. Down to I think you got DTT. Damn it, I can't even say it. Never mind. It's not commercial.
Now you blew it already.
Down to discuss.
Down to discuss.
That's why I'm down to vote for Larry Sharpe
like
because
that.
he's DTD.
I like
he's down
that.
to discuss.
That's really good,
Discuss.
actually.
I like that.
Yeah.
All
Welcome
right.
to the podcast.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
That was worth $20. Totally worth it. No doubt. Totally worth it.
If I didn't stutter it the whole way out, it would have been a lot cooler.
All
but-
good. I love it. But I think the flip flop issue is what you said. That you're correct. People assume it's because of cash. They assume it's because that you date, and also they rarely explain it. They don't say, they never actually give you what I call the epiphany moment, right? People have epiphanies, right? And at least then you understand why it happened, right? You don't say things like, the reason why I changed my mind is I saw this, I heard that, I
Got this
did
new
this.
evidence. Yeah.
Something happened in my head that said this is why I've changed my mind.
Yeah, I got
If
money
you just
deposited in my bank account.
even if you said that, at least that's believable.
Right.
Right? I think people would rather actually hear that and go, I've evolved, which means nothing. They'd rather say, I wasn't gonna, but I won to win this election, and the guy told me he'd give me $10 million if I said this, so I'm saying it. Now, that would be terrible, but at least that's honest.
And at least
He'd
it's
get more
relatable.
votes.
Yeah.
Yes, you go, yeah, I got it. I'd do it too.
Yeah.
You would actually
For
do
$10
that.
million,
You'd be like,
there's
$10 million
few things I would
bucks? Yeah, I'm for whatever you want. What'd you say? I'm that.
We were literally talking about that before you got here because we were discussing, jiu-jitsu and MMA,
Yep.
and a big thing is sponsorships. And we were
Yep.
discussing. I was like, hey man, I'd sell out for like almost anything at this point now.
Someone actually told me, they said, Larry, when you start doing and you guys know that I have the idea of doing leasing naming rights for our infrastructure.
Yeah.
And someone was teasing me, but it was real. She said, what if someone gives you, $50 billion? Are you still going to discuss it with us? I said, well, generally speaking, of course I'm going to discuss it with the local communities. Of course I'm going to be totally transparent. I said, but if someone gives me $50 billion, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Because that will pay off our Medicaid debt for one entire year. Right. So I'm taking
let's clarify.
it.
When they say they're giving you $50 billion,
I mean the state.
The state of
Yes,
New York.
yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify for the
thank
people
you.
listening.
Well, even me too. But anyway, my point being, if someone's going to give me
As long
$50
as you told us
to
that
the
you took
state,
$50 billion, we'd be like,
but I would be transparent.
and we'd be
I would
like-
literally say,
we'd be like, well, there's Larry off to buy his Costa Rican island.
that's what I look. If
God
someone,
damn him.
if
As
someone
long as you name it
actually
New York
said-
after
He was a
that.
handsome,
Yeah.
honest man.
If someone actually says, Larry, I want to have a bridge, let me give you $50 billion for a bridge, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm taking the $50 billion and I'm giving them the bridge.
paying
Of
off
course
our
I
debts.
am.
Yeah.
And we have $300 billion in debt in New York State. It costs us $50 billion. It costs $50 billion every single year just for like Medicaid, Medicare. I mean, which Medicaid? But just for that. I mean, it's huge. Our education budget is $60 billion. If someone actually was going to give me $50 billion, I'd be like, take the bridge.
Sign on the dotted line.
And the local community would go, we don't like that name. Too bad, because I'm taking $50 million bucks. But at least I would tell you why I did it, what I did. It'd be totally above board. You'd be mad at me. And if you want to vote me out 4 years from now, you can vote me out. But if that kind of money comes into this state and I can fix the kind of problems, you can fix that kind of money, odds are I'm saying yes.
That would enact so much change and so much good
odds are I'm
stuff
saying
coming
yes.
from that. Yeah.
I know that we're under some type of time constraints here, so I wanted to be able to because
you have fan stuff, right?
Yeah, I want to
please go ahead.
I want to just be able to, at least to address a couple of those questions before you got to take off. So one of the questions was we have a friend who's actually been a podcast guest. He's a licensed physical therapist, and it's part of his profession. So he had, and I thought this was a really unique question. I would never have thought of it.
It's about licensing.
No. He said, in New York, workers' compensation reimbursement for physical therapy is among the lowest in the country. It has not seen an increase since 1996. How do you feel about this, and how could the government help their participating medical professionals see a fair increase in pay for services provided?
There are so many things that touch that. I wish it was a simple answer. I'll give you a couple of them.
Okay.
Number one, workers' comp in general is just too expensive. And that means the average person in New York State who's an employer has to pay for both mistakes that happen on the job and off the job. Off the job is unfair. Most states don't do that. So you should only have to pay for one. If your boss says go there and do it and there's a problem, your boss should pay. Mm-hmm. If you decide, I want to do something stupid, that's on you to pay. Right? It's on your boss to pay for that. Right. But right now in New York State, it is on your boss to pay for that, which is silly. It just hurts. It makes people not hire enough. It's too expensive for workers' comp in general. So because of that, we have lots of money that goes out because that's a problem. So that's step one. Step two, the entire medical community is broken. Everything about it's broken. People are trying to get in. People working in hospitals are broken. The entire healthcare system is completely non-transparent. And so it's bad, bad, bad. Administration fees are high. You have to change all of that stuff. So all of it has to be changed. But more importantly, New York State has an insurance board. Most states don't have an insurance board. That insurance board has to go away. That insurance board does many things bad. One, it punishes the small guy like your friend. And on top of that, the insurance board hunts small businesses to extinction. It is literally predatory. It has to go away. We don't have to have an insurance board. And, of course, all these boards are simply ways of rewarding cronyism, rewarding party loyalists. So what can I do? I can do two things. Number one, get rid of the board and actually look into workers' comp and make it transparent. The average person has no idea how that works. His question is unique because you only know that if you're in that world.
Right.
So there are literally 99% of New Yorkers have no idea how he's being punished. And he's being punished because he's trying to actually make people work well. He's taking people who have insurance, which a lot of people in his world, and he'll tell you this, don't take insurance at all because of that. And when people realize that that's happening and that you're actually getting less help for people who need it most, they'll change the system. The number one thing I talk about all the time is transparency, things like that. I will have an office of transparency. And when he literally says, hey, Larry, what can you do about that? I'll say, let's shine a light on this. Because what he's doing is trying to help people who have insurance, which is great. But he knows in his world, lots of people don't. If you look at what's happening right now with our two-tiered system, there's a lot of people, the best doctors, don't take insurance.
Right. Yeah.
You're finding it harder and harder to find doctors who take insurance. Why? People who don't take insurance get wealthy clients who pay by check or credit card. And he probably wants that. But he's helping and by taking people with insurance.
I had no idea there was an insurance board. That's
there's an insurance board, yes.
And also, if your employer didn't have to worry about paying so much for workman's comp,
Bingo.
they could be paying who more?
That's correct, absolutely. Or hiring more people.
And then you could be like a responsible person. I know a lot of people aren't, but put money aside in case you do come into financial trouble.
To go further into that a little bit too is you ever get like a total compensation statement from your employer,
Yep.
and they're like, "Oh, really? You're making $150,000 a year because we're paying $60,000 for workers." I'm like,
Yes.
I don't give a crap about. I've never been hurt on my job ever.
Yep.
Even
And
if
I'm
I
not
got
going
hurt,
to-
I would still go to work.
Yeah, exactly. I'd still go. I'm like,
well, that actually happens too. Another issue we have, yes.
It blows my mind, and I understand why the companies are trying to do that. Yeah, but at the same time, that's not helping me at all.
It's correct. Yes, agreed.
So one more, if you
Go
don't
ahead,
mind.
please.
This gentleman states that for the record he's a libertarian as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
But I think we probably might have already covered this a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I honored some of these questions for people. What do you see is the largest problem in New York State, and how do you fix it?
There are tons of them, obviously. I could talk forever. Yeah. But at the core is actually a thing called unfunded mandates. Unfunded mandates is where Albany and or D.C. tell the county what they have to pay for without giving them any money until they must pay for it by law. So you find some counties that are actually already stuck with 85 to 90% of their budget already written out for them. So now you have people who show up and say, well, I've got a $10 million budget, and I'm fighting over $1 million. How can I fix my roads? How can I pay my police force? How can I do – I can't do this. So what do? They start raising property taxes. They raise property taxes because there's a loophole in our law right now. Property tax is not voted on by you guys. Property tax is voted on by the actual legislators. So they can go behind closed doors and you don't say anything and they vote to raise your property taxes because they have to find ways of making money. There are sometimes you have a school district where they're fighting over $20,000. That's all that's left because everything else is already mandated. So everything starts going away. But not just that. That's why you have, by the way, the pressure of the police force. Because what else can they do without you voting? Use law enforcement as a profit center. That's why all of a sudden now you have a ticket that used to be $50 is now $200
with a surcharge,
or the surcharge of $200.
I'm being surcharged.
And what winds up happening is you have to pay it. If you don't pay it, they're okay if you don't pay it. For some counties or some jurisdictions, they don't even want you to go to court because they sell the debt.
It's literally it's literally like a phishing scam.
It's correct.
Yes,
they want to selling the debt out. Yes.
It's like
so you ask your question of what's the worst thing.
You an email.
That right there is a core root problem that creates many other multiple problems. Right. So if we fix that one, you'll solve 2 or 3 off the bat. Also, people care more, right? You have people who – there are certain small areas where they don't have enough people to run the local government. Literally 3 people show up, so they go, you're the chair, you're the vice chair, and I'm the treasurer because no one else even showed up.
Larry, I paid you $40. You did not point at me.
You're funding this. Don't you get it? Oh, okay. I can't put you here.
Oh, okay.
You're funding this entire thing. Yes. So, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about.
Just make sure they plow my house out first.
We have to. You're the only one giving us the money. So my point being, if there are so many things that have to be repaired, but if I have to pick one, that's the number one.
Okay. Yeah, that's these are 2 things that you explained that I had no idea how they worked. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. So does that mean I'm going to get your vote?
Yeah, you're selling me so far. To be honest with you,
I'm winning. I'm winning.
I several years ago was actually pretty involved. I paid attention. I wanted to be informed because in my 20s, I think like most people at that time feel like they want to do something. They want to have an impact. They want it to matter. And I slowly got
beaten down.
It's just my awareness worked against me. Actually, the more I learned, the more you start to see how.
Do you know how depressed I get doing this?
I can imagine.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. When I see all the problems, and these are problems that have taken decades to create, and will take at least a decade to repair for most of them, that I have to turn this state around. I can't fix the state in a year. I can turn it around in 4 and put it in the right direction, but this state's in a really bad shape, and we don't realize how much a lot of it is by the government elite. How a lot of them have really gotten in our way and made things terrible. I agree with you completely. The more you see, the more you realize how. Look,
it's exhausting.
For me to do this, to be forward with you, no one else in the Libertarian Party could have done this in New York State. Why? Because I had to take off a year from my life. Literally, to do this and have an chance of victory, I lost over 50% of my income last year. I will lose over 75% of my income this year, and I've written checks for over 5 figures to my own campaign. Keep that in mind. I have a wife and 2 kids. My wife does not work, and I live in New York City. You can imagine the bills and the debt that I'm incurring. This is a rich man's game or an establishment man's game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not a guy like me's game. The average guy can't do this. It is impossible.
And the problem is that those people with the money have the power, and they're not going to change because they keep getting the money.
Well, the worst part is everyone who's supposed to be supporting the little guy doesn't. The media doesn't. The newspapers don't. The TV stations don't. The system doesn't. The system is all about the polling. The polling doesn't. Why do you think I go underground? Look, I said I am a Marine. I can't fight in the field. I will lose. So I fight in the jungle. That's where I can win. That's where I fight. I fight where I can win. I don't fight where I'm going to lose. So I know I'm not going to get the big stuff. I can't. They don't care. They care only about the establishment because that's what pays them. So they do it. I'm not mad at them. It's the way it is. I knew what I was doing when I got myself into this. Don't feel sorry for me. I get it. I knew what I was doing. But I'm trying to, as you said, be the change that I want to see. I'm hoping that if I do this and people see me make real impact and maybe even win this damn thing, that now people realize as a third party, you can do this. As a non-establishment guy, you can do this, right? It is possible. It can be done. So that's why I'm doing this. So you're totally right. It's hard, but it can be done.
I agree. I think, honestly, if you win, it opens the door. And people will actually start to believe that, oh, man, now it's not a waste. It's not a throw. Because I remember in the last election, they're talking about Bernie's a throwaway vote.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Don't waste your vote because it doesn't matter. A third party can't win and this and that. And that will change that whole idea.
When November 7th, if I've won this thing, it will change the entire nation overnight. I'm not exaggerating when I say it. That's absolutely true. And the sad part is, this is my point. Most people who talk about change, even libertarians who talk about change, are ignoring my campaign. They're not writing big checks. They're not helping me out. They're still thinking that, well, let's just wait. Who cares? If I had raised $2 million, I would have 100% won this. I mean, 100%. I literally said, if you give me $2 million, I will bet $2 million that I'll win. That's how sure I am. There's no doubt. I'm going to raise probably about $500,000 when I'm done. I can still win this thing on $500,000. It's possible. But it's harder. $2 million, it's a guaranteed. All I have to do is run TV commercials across the state. I win. Why? I'm the only one with ideas. I'm the only one. If I ran TV commercials across this state for another $500,000, I win. Because all they do is go, oh, a guy with ideas. Checkbox. So the harshest part for me to understand is I'm going to have to win in spite of the people I have to help. Jesus. Yes, I have to win in spite of the people I have to help. And when I win, I'm going to help all those people who blatantly ignored me, who blatantly dissed me. I'm going to have to help them all. And I'm okay with that. I get that. But again, if it's for the future, I'm in. I don't mind doing this if it's for a reason, for a purpose. That's what I want, purpose and a reason.
So I have an idea.
Go ahead.
Tell people how they can do it.
Yes. Go to LarrySharpe.com. Do that. LarrySharpe.com.
Larry Sharpe for New York on Facebook.
Yes, but here's the thing I want you to remember. Some of you can donate. And if you can donate, please donate. That's awesome. Again, I put tons of money into this. Put money into it. Yes, I'm telling you, if you can drop $1,000, do $1,000. I'm not joking. If you can do it. Why? Because when I win this thing, it will change the entire nation overnight. It will make third parties real. Democrats will stop having to just fight. They have to actually be Democrats. Republicans have to stop fighting. They have to be Republicans. They'll have to do that because it won't be the other guy is bad. Because if it's just two parties, it's the other guy is bad. When it's a third party, you have to have ideas. You have to actually help people. That's what I'm doing. It will change your world. So if you got $1,000 you can give, if you can swing that, swing it. I'm telling you to because I put in more than that. If you can do $5, put in $5. If you can't donate, no worries. You can still help. Here's how you help. Yes, make memes and share them. Share on Facebook, share on Twitter, share on Instagram. Tell your friends. Yes, get out there. Make your own sign. Put a sign out front. Yes, tell people about this campaign. Name recognition is my #1 barrier. If people know who I am, they want to vote for me. Think about that. I poll at 13% with 32% name recognition. Let me say it again. I poll at 13% with 32% name recognition. That's over a third of people who vote for me. Means over 35%. In a 5-way race, that's a win. That is literally a win. If my name gets out, I win this thing. If you're online, you see an article about New York, put my name there. Hey, have you checked out Larry Sharpe? Do that. So if you can donate, donate. I'm going to take your money and use it for votes. That's what I'm going to use it for. Yes.
What it should be used for.
I'm going to use it for votes. I'm not going to keep it in the bank like all the rest of you
are you telling
guys.
me you're buying votes?
Basically, yes. Yes. So I'm going to use it to get votes. If you can't give me the money, then give me the votes. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Share. That's how you help.
All right, Larry, $40, and I'll try to say your name once every day until Election Day.
Awesome. That's what I want to hear. I love it.
Once a day.
I love it. That's all I need.
Well,
awesome.
I mean, I've never, and I always used to make jokes about, you see people going out to meet politicians and they get giddy and excited. I'm like, who would take time out of their day to do that? But I appreciate that you took the time out of your day to come talk to us, and I feel like it's actually been very enlightening. And I appreciate that you sat down and discussed your ideas.
Of course.
And I actually feel more inclined that I would my time
say
my
giddy.
time would
Say
be valued.
giddy.
I'm getting giddy.
Yeah. That's what I want to
And
hear.
you know what? Well,
Yes.
the way we can help is at least now going forward, until the election, we'll make sure that we blast out your details.
I love
We'll
it.
mention
Thank
you
you.
in the start of every podcast.
I love
and
it.
The avenue that we have for impact and why we started this podcast are things like that, and this kind of feels like it could be the culmination of it. So now going
love
forward, it doesn't have to be just a one-off. We can make sure that we mention you at the start of every podcast.
I love it.
And
But don't
do our
forget, though,
part.
it's Larry Sharpe with an E, and the E stands for electable.
Oh boy,
I like it.
Thanks for having me.
make
guys.
sure
I
that
appreciate it.
they follow you. What's your Instagram, your Twitter, your
Larry
Facebook?
Sharpe.
Everything's just Larry Sharpe on all
Larry
social
Sharpe with
medias.
the E.
Facebook is Larry Sharpe for New York. The Facebook page. I'm sorry. The everything else is just Larry Sharpe.
It'd be like really funny if like the Larry Sharpe without
no
the
E.
E.
Yeah.
Turns out to be a porn star or something.
That'd be
Damn it,
amazing.
terrible marketing.
No. That'd
And they
be
just
amazing.
write him in.
That'd be amazing. Oh my God. I hope that's true.
We wanted a libertarian, but we got a porn star for
Sorry,
governor.
I feel like porn stars are pretty liberal with
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot
just
of
saying,
things.
it's not much of a difference, is what I'm saying. It's not much of a difference. It's fine.
But
It's fine.
Hey, Larry.
Larry, I know you got to get out of here, but I really appreciate the time. And it was-
Thanks,
it
guys.
was
Thanks for having me. I
fantastic.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anything else before we wrap it up? That's it.
That's it.
All right, guys. Six Borough Podcast signing out. Thanks again, Larry. Really.